on an awesome day of FileMaker training. We're here wrestling with the latest version of the Mac operating system as it misbehaves. If I drop on YouTube or Discord especially, you need to let me know, absolutely. So, FMTrain.tv, where every day is an awesome day to be doing FileMaker stuff. So today we're going to be covering substitute function with Nick Hunter. It's interesting. Nick is back. So Nick is back. Nick is currently in Greece. So I'm going to quit sharing. We're going to transfer to you. I'm going to run a quick errand, but I wanted to touch base with what you have going on that end. I want to make sure that you're good. I'm going to step up. Margaret's going to take over.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everybody. So thank you, everybody, for joining today. So that's my first day since like, I don't know how many months, at least maybe 5 or 6 months, right? Without lab, but you don't lose the teaching stuff. It's like bicycle. You don't forget it. So I hope I will do a good job today. So today I'm going to talk about a function. I already spoke about this a lot during the years, but it's always good to come back and start again and talking to the same thing, but with different experience and different things. So we are going to talk about substitutes. Let me share my screen right quick. So substitutes, what it's about. Okay. So let's go. It's a function. So we go there and we can see the thing here. Okay. So let's call the substitute here, right? So what got you confused is because it's not appearing the way it should appear in FileMaker. Okay, so this is not appearing the way it should be. But they never fixed that since FileMaker 6. So let me explain. The substitute is doing this. First, I'm coming here and I'm putting my name like this. Okay, so I have my name here, and I want to substitute for example, the capital N with a small n. I want to change this, right? So I search for the string I want, and I replace by the string I want. So the N of Nick now is small, it's small cap, right? If I want to replace N like this by M, for example, it won't work, right? The capital N is not a small n. So that means this is cap, it's case sensitive. So if you want to replace a capital N, you need to put capital N. In that case, now is Mick Hunter, it's not Nick Hunter, right? So of course, so let's say now I'm doing this, okay? So I have Nick Hunter, and I say I want to replace all the N's, right, by a M, a capital M. So here we have one N, another N. That means it will replace all the N's in that string with M. You can see is Mick Hunter, okay, with an M here, because there's two small N's. So that means if we do another type of demonstration, let's say I have something like this, okay, and I said replace all the 0 by 8, it will replace all the zeros by 8, correct? If I said replace all the 1 by 8, it's doing this. It changed all the 1s by 8, correct? So let's say now, for another demo, right? Replace all the 10 by 8. So here what happened? He replaced all the 10 he encountered, that means 2, by 8. but this 0 is not part of the 10. So he looked for 10 and he left over the other 0. So that means it's not saying replace 1 by 8 and 0 by 8. No, he said replace the 10 by 8. If I say replace 100 by 8, he's doing this. He replaced the 200 here by 8. So now let's go back to the Nick Hunter, okay? And I say, okay, replace the K by this. So I can replace one character by many, right? But I could say replace Nick by Peter. So he replaced my entire name, first name, by Peter, right? If I do this, he do this, Peter K. Why? Because he replaced Nick by Peter, right? This is how it works. So let's start from the beginning. I want to replace the capital N by a small n, but also I want to, substitute the capital H by a small h. So that's why I said this function is not formulated the right way, because we can use that technique, brackets. So I put that between brackets, right? And I copied this and I said H by small h. So now he's doing two things in one pass, right? So I'm replacing the N, the capital N by small cap N, the capital H by small cap H. And of course, I can say, if I want, replace the space by dash, if I want, or underscore. So I can do multiple things here. I can say, replace the N's, the H's, and the space. Or I can say replace the space by nothing. So that means sometime if you have space here, space here, right? You know what I mean? So you replace all the space by nothing, right? You understand? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is how you do if you want to replace many things by, many things in one pass. Last time I saw somebody, you had this example where you had multiple substitutes, substitute this, substitute this, substitute this, So for example, let's say you want to substitute special characters. Let's say you want to substitute, special character like this, right? And something like this, right? So you want to substitute something like this, this character now, but you want to substitute something like this $, right? So you want to substitute all those things, and you say, okay, I want to substitute this by nothing. I want to substitute this. I want to substitute this, for example, the underscore by space, and I want to substitute the $signs, by nothing. Then you clear, right? So you can substitute your stuff like this, right? So now, if everybody understood that, I see some chat
Question,
stuff.
actually. Yes.
Yeah.
So we have a question from, what is the second or third set? Can you change what you change in the first set, i.e. n to lowercase n and then lowercase n to capital M? So can you use the second set of brackets to change what happened in the first set of brackets?
Yeah. Oh, you mean your cascading effects?
Yes.
You know, I think it will do. You know, if I say I replace this by a small n and then a small n by a big M like this, right? It did it, right? So you change n by n small, and then you said n by m, so that it did, right? You know what I mean? So it does it's by order of appearance, you know. It does this and then this and then the third and then the fourth. So if this do something, this will take whatever the result of this one. Okay. So it's the first serve, the first arrive, first serve. And the next will take whatever the result of this and then calculate this, but not on this anymore. On the results, it's a good question, by the way. I was skipping that completely. This is the original text. Then this, right, returns something. And you return this. And then this will be what this will use in order to get the final results. Right? So, yeah, good question. So now, what is the most useful way to use substitute? The first day I remember the first day I used this, right? It was to do something like this, right? I have a date. So I'm picking a date field. And what I did, the first thing I did is this. I want to replace this by this. Correct? That means people wanted in their reports, they didn't want with the slashes, they want with the dashes, which is the dash is the international way, you know, to express dates, not the slash. Slash is American centric, and but England, Europe, they do the slashes. Canada as well, right? So so they wanted their FileMaker returns dates, you know, their return dates, you know, with the slashes, right? So they return dates like this, right? So you replace this by this. It's a good way also to put dates in the file name. You know, on Windows, if you put this as a file name, right, your file is broken. You know what I mean? If you want to export a file, save a PDF, and you want the dates, that's what you need to do. Correct? Right? So this is the first thing I'm doing, you know, for the substitute. So you can do whatever you want, right? So if you want to, for example, if you want to remove special characters, for example, from a name, if you want to save a name and you want to make sure you have no special character, or you want to replace, you know, all the spaces, you know, for example, you have a, you know, what's the name? Daily reports, okay, daily accounting reports, and you want to save this, you know, this is part of the name of a file. You want to save the file, but you want to do something like this. So you replace this by a underscore, for example, in the name for your name when you save a PDF or whatever Excel report, right? So you can do this, right, with the substitutes. So you substitute a character, and you know, and you remove the thing, right? So this is, so when you have a name, when you have a word, a string, and you can replace a string. But there's something else also. So do we have any question? No, I don't see any. So the thing I'm doing with the substitute where, where you want to do something like this, for example. So let's close this, right? And I want to add, so I'm adding people like this, okay? And I want to transfer this, that means I have a list here. I have a list. This is my list of IDs of contacts, right? And I want to flatten this. I want this to be flattened. I want this to be, because this list here is 5 values, right? But I want this to be 1 value. But I don't want to lose the list. So pretty much what I want to do is to change the separator. I want to change the separator on this list. So you can do this. Substitute on the list. And you want to substitute the Claris return character by something else. Typically, I'm using the paragraph character. So now I have the list, but it's no longer separated by a Claris return. It's separated by this character, correct? So now this, the list, I still have the list. I didn't lose anything, but this list is now 1 value. So I can take this value, right? I can take this value and get it back the way it was. For example, I can do this. List of values. Okay. So I have my list of value. And I can do this. Substitute my list of values. And I do the opposite. Here, I was replacing the Claris return by this character here. Now I'm going to do the opposite. I'm substituting this character by the Claris return. So I get back my list, right? So this demo is to show you that you can substitute, you can act in a list of values, as well, not just on one string. So you can act, right, on the list. Why I'm using that technique? Well, is to send, for example, a list in a parameter, for example, or I want to, I want to have this list. Let's say I have many lists, right? Let's say I have many lists. Let's say I have 2 lists. So let's put 2 lists here, right? This is a list of contact IDs. And I want a list of reference IDs, right? And the list of reference ID, for example, is this. It's not the IDF, it's this. So I have 2 lists, 2, okay? So demonstration. So I have 2 lists. I have this list, right? And I have this list. I have 2 lists, 2 lists of IDs. So if I don't if I don't do this, for example, if I do this, let me show you. If I have one list and I combined the other lists, where the first list starts and where the second list starts, I have no ideas. You know, I have no freaking ideas where the first is coming and where the second is, where the first start when it stopped and where the second start and when it start. I have no idea. Okay. So that's why we flatten this, right? So we do this. So we have the first list, right? Correct. And we have the second list. And we can combine them, right? We can combine them. So that means, look this. If I have the list of both, right? I have two lists, correct? So let's put this in my all values. This is my all values. I have all my values, correct? Now that I have this, okay, so I substituted the Claris return to do this for the first list and in the second list. So now I can go there and I can say, get values, all the lists. This is my first. So I have all my, I can get the first and I can get the second. First and second, correct? So now, for example, I extract from that list of the combined list. I want to get that list back on the Claris return, right? So look this, substitutes the first value of this, and I do this with this. This is my first. This is the second, first, second, first. So now I can say, okay, I want this value from this list, for example. Get value. On this, I want the third value, or the second, or the first. So see, with the substitute, you can jungle with those values, right, in the air and get whatever you want, right? This here, you have both, right? Here you have both values, but here, from the first value, this one, for the first list, I want the value 1. So I want I want this value from this list. If I change this, it will go the result here. Let's put 2 Claris return to make this more clear. This value is the first value on this. But now if I change this here, this value here will become E78. Look, boom. If I want this, I just go there and say 2. Now I have this one. No, 2. 78, 78. See? So this is what you do with the value, with the substitutes. So you can, the most advanced way to use substitute is this. You flatten things, you combine them, and then you can separate them, right? So I don't see any questions, so let's move on.
People are saying that we are here, but we understand so far. So
Okay. So now you see where what the benefits on this. So another thing that, let's keep this and get another one. Another thing I'm doing is this. Many times people are asking me for this. So demonstration. I have a substitute here, and I have this. I have a first and last name. No. Let's do something here. Let's go there in contacts. So here I have Nick Hunter. Okay, so let's do this. So I have Nick Hunter here. And I want to build a full name like I hear. So I know what you do. You do this. First and last, correct? That's what you do. Okay, that's cool. That's super cool. So let's have a new and say, okay, March. Okay, so that's fine. That works fine, right? But not. Let's say I don't have last name. So now this, I have an extra space here. Yes, because you said this and this. So now, let's say I have only a last name. Well, now I have a space before, right? So I know what you do. You do a trim, right? And you say, okay, problem solved. Yeah, but this is doesn't work well. It's not, So the best way to do this, instead of doing this, you substitute and you say, okay, I want the list of the first and the last, and I want to replace the space by Claris return. I want to replace the Claris return by the space. So here I have only a last name, no space. Here, now, I have last name, first name. And I have the last name and first name with one space. If I don't have the last name, no extra space, no trim. Why? Because I convert this as a list, and then I replace the Claris return by the space with a substitute. Yes, but in that case, this here, doesn't return any Claris return. So this is not substituting the space because there's no Claris return. There's Claris return in one only, so in one way only is this, right? Here now I have a Claris return to replace. So this happened. Now another thing that's cool to do, right? Let's say I have this, but I want to do like something like this. Last name first, then first name, and this, right? So this is what you do when you want to present a list, starting with the last name first, correct? You understand? So, and this is where it works well in all cases. So you see here, now I have this, I replaced, so of course, if I have no first name, I have no this. If you had done the old way with, if you have done this way, so last and first, well, you get this, right? And there's no trim possible, right? So it doesn't work. This works perfectly well. If I add back the first name, so now it works like this, okay? So what about my full name, I have two last names. Well, this works as well. He knows this is and I have a space here. It doesn't, because it doesn't search for space, it searches for Claris return. You understand? If you had searched for space and say, okay, replace the space, if you had done the wrong way, you had say, okay, you said, use, for example, you want to do this, list, you want to substitute this, right? For example, and you search for space, and you want to replace by this, that's what you get. Yes, because my last name, there's space between. You understand? So now what you can do, you can go even further in using that technique, right? Let's say now, right? You don't want this like this. You don't want, let's say you want all your what's the name? How you call that? Multiple names, multiple last name. You want these with a hyphen. You want hyphenate those always. This is how you do, following this technique. So you have the let, and you say, okay, this is the first name, and you do a substitute on the first name, and you replace all the spaces by a hyphen. Then you have the last, and then you say, okay, substitute all the last names. Same thing, all the space with the hyphen. Okay, so I have this, right? And then you say, okay, this and this. Boom. Why? Is because he took first the first name, and he said this by this. Then he took the last name and said, and then you use these two for this calculation, right? So whatever the last and whatever the first, okay, I'll have a, okay. So if I do, like this, it's what you get, right? I mean, I'm making up stuff, no case scenario, just to make sure that, because it's the substitutes training today. So this is what I'm doing with substitutes, right? So this is where substitute is good, you know. We have question here. I learned this before and I love it. It is worth adding a middle name to show everyone how it works. Okay, I can do this.
Sounds good to me.
Yup. Okay, so let's do middle. Okay, middle name. I hate this. Okay, so first, last, and middle. Okay. For example, I'm doing this, right? So, and here, I have so many. So, this is the middle. So substitute and middle, and doing this and this, right? So now, okay, I want to do something here. I want to combine middle and last together, and the first, right? So let's say I want to combine middle, right? I want to get middle and last together. So, you know, full last. Okay. So what it is the list of the middle and the last, right? But I want to substitute this and substitute the Claris return by a space. So now, if I do this, I have my middle and the last together, and this understand what you need to do, separate those two with this by this. So you see now the substitute, how it can be powerful, okay? Because if you do something like this, Hunter or Patterson, so let's say you have a middle name like this. You have something complicated. Hunter Patterson, Mukiatos, Nicholas Alexander. Okay, my system works perfectly. Hunter Patterson is the middle name and Mukiato is the last name, but they are combined together and separate. So look what you can get with a very simple calculation, because I'm doing nothing, a bunch of substitute stuff, right? But that's it. I'm not doing like a position, all search for the space, the first space of the occurrence. You know what I mean? It would have been a nightmare if you want to do something like this, not using the substitute. Go to your mom, because go back to your mom, because it won't work. You know what I mean? So and I have no extra space, and it worked perfectly well, and it's super fast because I'm doing nothing. So is that answered, Ken? Is that okay for
Yeah,
you?
Ken, let us know if that answered your question.
Okay, so you understand the complexity of what I'm doing here, because even though, and if I say it's Mochiatos, I don't know, Carlton. Okay, so let's say I have a very complicated name. So he understood. This is the multiple middles, multiple lasts separated by the space, and then this one, the combination of those separated by the cache return, right? So of course, I'm using this all the time, right? The full name here worked, but I need to add the full name here. So here is this. The full name miss something here. I miss the middle. I need to add the middle to work. So now my middle, my full name is this. It worked. Nicholas Alexander Hunter Patterson Mochiato Scalp. Okay, is there. No extra space, no extra stuff, no trim, right? So yeah, just thought demoing that would be the good to yeah. Okay, so now the last thing I'm doing with the substitute, which is cool, and it's part of something I'm going to show a little bit further. I mean, in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, right? Is this, if I go back to accounts, create a new. I want to add contacts here. So I have a selection, and I can add multiple contacts at one shot. In one shot, I can add multiple contacts. I can add this. So how I'm doing this, how I'm doing this to be that fast, right? And not having a field. I'm not clicking a field. I'm not setting a field to do that. Like putting a 1 in one field to say selected, because this is terrible. Because in that case, if somebody else in the network is doing this at the same time you do, it will see your selection. And you have to unselect. That means if you select something like this using a field, you need to clear those fields. You need to do a replace. You know what I mean? You need to blank those. Well, I can blank that. but I'm not doing, I don't have any selection here. This is a fake selection. I mean, it's a fake news, right? It's not existing. The selection exists only for me, right? So how I'm doing this? Well, I'm using a variable where I'm putting the ID of the selected contacts, right? So let's say I blank this. So I'm coming here and I have no variable here. And I'm clicking one, one. Boom. This set a variable with one ID. Let's say I have another one, right? Now I have two IDs. So I'm padding the IDs. A third one. But the second one, the C78, if I click it, I want this to go away. And it's not there anymore, right? I click, it's there. Click again, not there. And clean is clean, okay? So how it works? I demonstrate that multiple times, but it's always good to know what is going on. When I click something, I click here, and it is not this ID, the ID of this I'm selecting here is not part of the list. I mean, it's not into this, it's not there. It is not, right? Then it's easy. What I'm doing is I'm setting the same variable with the same name. And I'm saying, okay, whatever in this global variable, take it and add the content I'm in. Add it. So it is going to recreate the global variable using itself what was there before, adding this, right? And that will be my new one. So I'm repurpose the same global variable, right? Calling inside the variable, I'm calling the variable itself. This is how you do. Okay, so now it's there. So I do this, boom, 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 boom. So now I have this ID here. But now what happened when I click again, right? Which one was it? I don't remember. I don't remember which one. Okay, never mind. We don't care. Yeah. If let's say I want to remove Margaret. So this is the second I clicked. This one, the 1AF4 is there, right? So this ID is there. So what will happen to my script if I do this? So now it is. So it is there. Pattern count, this ID. Yeah, it is. This ID I'm in, this ID I'm in, the FFD3 is part of that list. Is part of that list. So that's why it's there now and not here, right? It's there. And what this do? Well, I'm using a substitute. So this here is, I will explain that later why I'm doing this, but let's forget about this one and let's focus only on this one, okay? So what do? I select, I get the ID I'm in, the FFD3, okay? So I'm in this ID. I'm going to select the list of my IDs, okay? And use the substitute and I say, okay, I have this ID, correct? And now you need to do this for me. First, try carry return ID and replace by nothing. And try ID and carry return and replace nothing. Or just the ID and replace nothing. So why I'm doing this? So why the substitute with the bracket stuff is useful in that case, you know, because I don't have just ID. If I do just ID, this is what happened. So let's duplicate this. Let's duplicate this. And do a substitute, no, you know, like this. Simple substitute, right? Replace the ID with this. Okay. So let's do it. So this is my list, right? And I remove this one. It worked very well. Oh yeah, but you know, I'm not lucky because it was the last one. Okay. So let's do this one. What happened now? Why is it working? It should be working at all. Did I save this? Oh, I didn't save. Oh, I didn't save it.
Okay.
I didn't save it. That's why I said, what the hell? Okay. So
Easy fix.
yeah. So now I'm removing Margaret. It's gone, but blank. So now removing this guy. Boom, blank. Now removing this one. Now blank, blank, blank. Okay, so this is piece of bleep, right? Because this is not good at all. I don't want that. It could work, but look what happened. It's still saying 6 contacts selected. And if I keep going, you know, so, and now this doesn't work. You know, see, because now my list is broken, right? You know what I mean? So it's broken and I have blanks here. So what I need to do in order to work, so let's blank everything and go back. Let's take 4. I have multiple case scenario. First case scenario, I want to replace this. If this ID is the first, I want the first ID to be gone and the carry return after. Okay? You understand? If it's this ID, also I want the ID to be gone and the carry return after. This one too, the ID and the carry return after. But if it's this, I want the carry return before and the ID to be gone. Not the carry, because there's no carry return after. I want the carry return before, that the carry return I have here, this one, and the ID to be gone. So here I want, first case, if I want to remove this one, you need to remove this and the carry return that is there. For this, and for this. And for this. But for this, the last one, I want the carry return before and then the ID. Correct? So then there's another case scenario. This one. I have only one. I have no carry return before and I have no carry return after. So that's why I have those 3 case scenario here. first try the carriage return and ID. That's for the last one. Okay. Then try ID and the carriage return. That for the first and that for all of them but the last. This will work only on the last. This will work on anyone, and this will work if there's only one value. Correct? Right? So that's why it works. And I have a smart counter that counts how many values I have in that new contact ID. To get the contact, the number of contact selected, I'm counting how many values I have. So in this new contact ID, I have 3. So I'm doing a value count on this. Correct? So if I have blanks in the middle, if I have blanks, it counts the blanks. So I need to get rid of the blanks. Right? Oh, well, yeah. Decline. So you understand that, right? So of course, when you have those 3 IDs, selected IDs, you have the script is to create those contacts, to attach those contacts. Very simple, right?
Oh, real quick,
So,
I have a question.
Yeah, so let me finish this. And so you go there, you have 3, the value count is how many contacts I have in my list, in my variable, right? So I do this 3 times, 1, 2, and 3, and boom, I have my contacts, right? So go ahead. So what the question? Is there any significance to order you're doing that? Yeah, there's a significance. The significance is this. If you do this one, this will happen first. If I put this one first, it will never do that. Never. It will never try this. If I do this first, it will never try this. Because it will remove the ID. Because this will always work. This can fail because it works only on the last. So you start from the least possible, which is the last. You start with the least possible. This will work only in one case scenario. This ID is positioned on the last value in that list. That will work only for that. This will work, only if this ID is on the first, but is on any position but the last. And this will work on all the position, but in that scenario, this will only work if the ID is unique, if you have only one of it. You understand? Because this will fail, and this will take all. If I put this first, broken. That is the order. That is the order. Correct? Yeah. Because this will work all the time. And I don't want. Right? Because you remember how substitute works. It will do that first, and then this one will get placed based on the result of this first loop here. But if I substitute the complete ID on the first, this and this will fail because the ID is no longer there. It's gone. The ID is gone. So you understand? So yeah, it's the order is it's important, right? Okay, so I think we cover a lot of the substitutes thing, right?
I think, yeah. So
Okay.
are we good?
So I'm going to send you this
File?
this file, and
I will share it tomorrow, so it'll happen. All right. Thank
okay.
you, Nick. Thank you for coming back. We appreciate having you back. It's been awesome.
Yes. So see you next week then.
Yeah, absolutely. See you next Monday. Have
Yes.
a good one, everyone. Goodbye.
No.